Conservative new media viewers, JLin fans around the world, Charlotte Hornets fans around the world. What's up? It's me, PFA Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. And we're here to discuss the Charlotte Hornets' 119-99 victory tonight over the Philadelphia 76ers in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. However, before I do that, I want to talk about two other things because I did not get to make the Game 59 video for the Phoenix Suns contest last night. And I also want to discuss JLin and the Oscars joke that Jeremy commented on. Okay, so let's do that first, then we'll set up the Philadelphia game and discuss it. First of all, the Phoenix Suns game, an excellent win at home for the Hornets. Blowout win. Phoenix was down. They're missing like three of their top players, three of their top perimeter players. You expected Charlotte to win that game and win it easily. They did that. They took care of business. Good to see that. I can't remember if Jeremy finished out that game, but it was a blowout, so it really doesn't count in terms of whether or not he was in the finishing group because it was, like, as I said, it was out of hand, and then you get in, like, the end of the bench players for that game. The Oscars situation. I did not watch the Oscars, so I actually don't know what the joke was that Chris Rock made regarding Asians. However, I saw a picture, and I know there were a couple of young Asian children that were on stage in tuxedos, it looked like, and some joke was made as regards Asian people of Asian heritage. JLin didn't like that, and he remarked about it, I think, on Twitter, saying, why is it okay to make jokes about those of Asian heritage when, with the implication being you can't make jokes about anybody else, but so why is it okay to make jokes about Asians? Then Jeremy was asked about it further the next day at Charlotte Hornets practice, and we put up a video about that. There was an actual video from the Associated Press. It's about a minute long. We put a link to that video in the Twitter feed. You can find it if you search on YouTube. It's just search for JLin by date and you'll see it. Or JLin Oscars, something like that. Basically, Jeremy said, look, the television's really influential, and he's hoping that stereotypes of Asians are broken. And he mentioned also that it seems like Asians always get the same kind of film roles, like they're kind of stereotyped or typecast. Also, I think he said something about Asian masculinity, like that's kind of put down or seen a certain way. I think this is fantastic. Look, I'm not of Asian heritage. I can't speak on everything. However, as an observer of popular culture, an observer of matters of race, yeah, sure. I mean, Jeremy's dealt with this himself. Oh, he's the Asian Harvard kid. He's not really that good at basketball. He's weak. He's not very masculine, so on and so forth. He's a geek, this type of stuff. I think it's fantastic that JLin chose to speak up about it. His remarks were linked to from the Drudge Report, which is extremely influential website that's based in the United States. So good for JLin for bringing this up to people's attention. And he also said, Jeremy did, that he was not trying to single out Chris Rock. He basically said, look, I don't think Chris Rock made the joke or wrote the joke or he didn't write it by himself. In other words, this isn't about me going after Chris Rock. It's more like, well, why do joke writers think it's okay to make jokes about Asians? And, of course, the Oscars faced a lot of controversy this year because there was an outcry that there were not enough actors, actresses, and directors and so forth, people of color, African Americans and others that were nominated for awards. And so it felt like, I think, that Chris Rock was kind of, okay, so there's kind of a tension there between maybe black and white or Latinos and white and whatever. And so now we're going to make fun of Asians, and that's going to make everything okay. And it's kind of like, well, why dump on Asians if there's these, you shouldn't do that. And so I think it was great that he brought it up. I think it's something that, look, the sooner we can get beyond certain stereotypes, the easier it's going to make it. It's certainly, as I've said, Jeremy's a pioneer in that field himself because of his status as a player in the NBA and the only player of Asian American heritage currently in the NBA. So he would be more tuned into that than, of course, many other people. And I'm glad that one of our subscribers from Nepal wrote to me and said, look, what is your thoughts on this? So I'm glad that that person did that, because we did want to talk about that. We did want to mention that. Okay? Now let's discuss the game tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers. The setup was JLin gets to see his old coach, Mike D'Antoni. Mike D'Antoni is an assistant coach currently for the Philadelphia 76ers. This was the final game on the road for the Charlotte Hornets for a while, because after tonight they're going home for 7 straight games. Also after tonight, Charlotte will have 12 games remaining in the regular season at home versus just 10 left on the road. So this is, of course, they had that 6-game road trip. Now this little game tucked in with a home game yesterday. So let's get this over with, go home, and try to fatten up the record, as we talked about in the last video that we did, the Game 58 video. Also, Charlotte was 7-2 in their last 9 games coming into tonight. So they've been on a really good roll. And they came into tonight 31-28, 3 games over 500, looking to go to 4 games over 500. As I've said in the past, the best that Charlotte has been this season is 6 games over 500. With the win tonight, they're now 4 games over 500, so they're really in a good rhythm right now. And it did continue tonight against the Philadelphia 76ers, and let's discuss that statistically. The reason why Charlotte won is because they held on and outperformed Philadelphia in the fourth quarter. Philly made a huge comeback in the third quarter against the Hornets starters. Early in the third quarter, Charlotte got up by 14 points. However, that lead was evaporated as Philadelphia went on a 20-3 run, so a 17-point swing, and Philadelphia went up by 3 points, I believe. Right around that point in time, JLin came into the game, and he helped turn the tide. And in the fourth quarter, the Hornets just overwhelmed Philadelphia. Philadelphia is not a good team. They're the worst team in the league. They did put up a lot of fight in this game, particularly in the third quarter, and there was some kind of roughhousing or physical back and forth between Cody Zeller and Nerlens Noel in this game. In the first half and also in the second half. And when it happened in the second half, that seemed to spark Philadelphia. That seemed to kind of get them to play better and play harder. That's when they made the comeback. However, as I mentioned, Charlotte was able to get that under control, particularly in the fourth quarter. Philadelphia had 3 players with 17 points apiece: Isaiah Canaan, Robert Covington, and Nerlens Noel. Canaan, of course, was a former teammate of JLin's in Houston. Hornets were led by Kemba Walker, 30 points, 7 rebounds. Cody Zeller, 15 points, 6 rebounds. Marvin Williams, 14 points, 9 rebounds. And the bench got 7 points from Frank Kaminsky, 6 points from Al Jefferson, 6 points from Jeremy Lamb. JLin, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Jeremy played 20 minutes, shot 4 of 6 from the field, including 0 of 1 from three-point range, 6 of 6 from the free throw line, No steals, no blocks, 3 turnovers, 4 personal fouls. Jeremy's plus-minus was a plus 15, which was 3rd best on the team. And as I mentioned on Twitter during the game, Jeremy's PER is definitely going to be going up after tonight. He really was good, particularly on offense. How did Jeremy do in this game? As I just mentioned, he was excellent on offense. There were 2 issues that weren't perfect, or however you want to call it, for Jeremy tonight. He had the 3 turnovers. I actually thought he had another one as well that wasn't charged to him. And in the 4th quarter, he was having some difficulty on defense guarding Ish Smith. I think that those 2 matters, the turnovers and the defense against Ish Smith, were why JLin ended up coming out of the game with about 6 minutes left. However, Jeremy played really well in this game. And there is some speculation, or thinking anyway, that this could have been kind of like an audition game for JLin, because it's possible he might want to go to the Philadelphia 76ers this upcoming summer to rejoin Mike D'Antoni. However, he may have to compete for that spot against Ish Smith. Both JLin and Ish Smith will be free agents this upcoming summer. So I think I know there are some players on Philadelphia who want Ish Smith to come back to the franchise next year, but there's no guarantee that's going to happen. Ish has played well this year, and he's likely to get some offers. So he might not want to stay in Philadelphia. There's also no guarantee that JLin wants to go to Philadelphia. Philadelphia has had a lot of losing in the last several years. They've been kind of regarded as almost like a wrecked franchise. However, that has begun to turn around this year with the additions of Jerry Colangelo as kind of a, I don't know what Jerry's official title is. It might be like kind of a consultant or advisor to the general manager, Sam Hinkie. Adding people like Mike D'Antoni for some kind of steadying voices, bringing in Ish Smith, who has definitely helped the team. We will see. But the 76ers are thought to be now moving in a better direction than they were the last several years. And that fact, along with Mike D'Antoni now being on the coaching staff, could lure JLin to the team. If he does go to the team, my guess is he's going to want to be the starter, and so we will have to see what happens with Ish Smith this summer and how that might affect everything. So let's do some quarter by quarter. Again, the team played great. They responded to the challenge when they needed to tonight. They are currently in the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. It's a real dogfight from positions 3 through 9 or 10. It's really, really close right now. Every team needs to perform their best. They need to win as much as possible. Charlotte is doing a great job of that right now. I think there's going to be about 9 teams fighting for 8 spots. Chicago is number 10, but they're starting to fade away. So what it looks like is Charlotte's going to need to beat out 1 team to be able to get a playoff seed. However, they want to get as high up in the standings as they can get to try to avoid Cleveland and Toronto in the playoffs, who are going to be the number 1 and number 2 seeds, it looks like. If you get to a number 6 seed and you play number 3, whoever that's going to be, I think right now it's Boston, you could actually win that series, particularly with the way the Hornets look right now. So that's kind of the whole stage, the setting for where we're at right now coming into tonight and after tonight's game. But as I have mentioned in recent videos, I love the way the team is playing. I think Courtney Lee is an excellent addition. The 9-man rotation is doing a great job. I think this is the 9-man rotation and what it's going to be, although I would imagine Al Jefferson will become the starter again once he's kind of fully recovered from his knee surgery. But it's a well-balanced team. They're strong. They play good defense. They're winning on the road now. They're 12-19 on the road right now, which is so much better than they were earlier this season. They were 4-16. I mean, they were way, way down there. Now they're actually becoming a formidable team on the road. I mean, in their last 7 road games, I want to say they're 6-1, something like that, which is, it's remarkable. The team appears to have turned the corner. They're mentally tougher now. And Jeremy himself said after practice yesterday, after the shoot-around actually, that the team is now starting to play defense on the road. They're starting to keep the defensive intensity on the road that they bring it home. And that shows that the team is maturing and kind of figuring things out. So this team has come a long way and really like the way they're looking. Okay, let's turn to the quarter by quarter. We'll talk about what Jeremy did in this game. He first came into the game with the score 18-18, tied there with 4 minutes and 27 seconds left in the first quarter. He came in for Courtney Lee. He almost immediately was fouled. He was on the perimeter. He faked like he was going to take a jump shot. The defender jumped up in the air and went for the fake, and Jeremy basically ran into him, and that means 2 free throws. He made both of them. That made the score 20-18. Then I made a note. This is late in the first. I said, Jeremy's getting a little bit lost on defense. This is a situation where Jeremy is guarding somebody on the perimeter, and the way that Charlotte plays defense, they pack the paint, is what the expression is, meaning that they want their guys to drift towards the middle, towards the paint area, so that guys can't drive to the basket. When you do that and you're a perimeter player, you still have to maintain focus on where your man is. Sometimes when Jeremy's doing that, he can kind of lose his man a little bit. And I thought that was happening a little bit right here. It's nothing fatal. It happens to other players too, but it's just something you have to pay attention to. Okay, then Jeremy had his first score of the game. He went in for a layup, I believe, on the left-handed side, and the ball hit the backboard, and then Philadelphia touched it, so that's a goaltend and an automatic score. That made it 24-22 for Charlotte. Soon after that, he scored on his second basket. He dribbled in to the right side of the free throw line and took a short jumper from there, 15-foot jumper, and he made that. Then he had his first miss of the game. He was running very fast in transition. He went up for a layup. However, he put the ball off the backboard a little bit too hard. And he was just going so fast that when you're going at that speed, it's hard to get the proper touch on a layup shot. And so Jeremy the momentum put the ball off the backboard too hard, essentially. But it was a good play by Jeremy because he was trying to beat the defense down the court, and it's worth the risk. Then Jeremy had his first assist. This was a pass into Al Jefferson for a layup. Then Jeremy had his third score of the first quarter. He made a little move against one of the Sixers' big men on the right baseline area, and he stepped back for a short jumper from the baseline from about 10 feet or so, and it went right through the net. Then he had his first foul of the game. I didn't see it. I forget what the play was. So we went to the end of the first quarter, 32-29 for Charlotte. JLin, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. His efficiency for the quarter was 10, which is phenomenal. That would be his best quarter of the night. So he really helped Charlotte set the tone early in this game. He came out with a lot of energy. As I said, it looked like he was trying to get somebody's attention on Philadelphia about perhaps, hey, you might be interested in me this upcoming summer, and he definitely did a good job of doing that in the first quarter. Now coming into The second quarter, early on, he got an assist for a foul to Al Jefferson. He passed the ball into Al Jefferson. Al went up for a hook shot, and he was fouled on the shot. So, again, Jeremy's not credited for that, but it was a nice pass by him. He then had an unconverted assist opportunity where he passed the ball out to Frank Kaminsky, and Frank Kaminsky did not convert on a three-point shot. Then Jeremy had his first turnover of the game. I don't know what the call was. It looked like Jeremy may have stepped on the sideline. So it would have been a situation where Jeremy received a pass on the left side of the court, and he may have put his foot on the sideline before he made a move. I wasn't listening to the game, and I couldn't tell if they called him for a travel or stepping on the sideline. I think he stepped on the sideline, but I'm not sure. Then Jeremy had his fourth score of the game on a really nice play. He was on the right side of the court, on the offensive side of the court. He cut to the basket on like a backdoor cut. Nick Batum found him for a pass. He went under the basket and laid the ball up on the left side of the basket. Really nice play between JLin and Nick Batum there. That made the score 40-38. Look, I've said that Jeremy has improved this season. One of the things that he's most improved on is moving without the ball. Jeremy is best when he plays with the ball in his hand, okay? But you also must be able to play without the ball in your hand, because then you can dominate and be a good player in either situation, with or without the ball. Now Jeremy's getting more and more improved in playing without the ball, and the way you get easy scores is you cut and move around and be open for passes, just like the one he did right there. So it's just great to see Jeremy doing that. Nick Batum, nice pass to him, and that was an easy layup for JLin. Middle of the second, Jeremy missed his second shot of the game. Catch and shoot three-pointer from about 8 degrees right of the top of the arc. Now, we've been trying to monitor, is JLin stepping into his shots? Is he doing the hop or not when he takes his shots? And this three-point attempt was no hop. And I have to say, the shot looked a little bit flat. So I think it looks like JLin shoots the three-point shot better when he gets a step into it. A little bit more power, a little bit more momentum, a little bit more lift on the shot. That's just from observation. And if you watch Jeremy when he does his practicing, that's usually how he shoots. So, and the shot it rattled in and out. It almost went down. However, it could have used, in my opinion, a little bit more arc. Okay? Then Jeremy had a really nice defensive play. His man tried to go backdoor on him. I think he was playing against TJ McDaniels, I think the guy's name is then. Jeremy broke up the layup attempt, so that was stopped. He then had his second turnover of the game. He was racing down the court again, once more at full speed. He had beaten his man, and he was like half a second away from scoring an easy layup. However, another Philly defender reached from behind Jeremy and poked the ball away. So that was the second turnover at that point in time. Then I made a note that says Jeremy is super aggressive in this audition game, and I put good. So he's looking like he's going all out in this game, and I love it. He's attacking. Then he had his second assist of the game. This one was a nice pass on the right side of the court to Cody Zeller, who took one dribble in and dunked the ball. That made the score 44-42 Charlotte, and there was then a timeout on the court. Jeremy came out for the first time of the game and was replaced by Kemba Walker with 5 minutes and 32 seconds left in the second quarter. We then went to halftime, 58-50, Charlotte leading. JLin, 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Moving on into the third quarter, Jeremy came into the contest with 3 minutes and 19 seconds left, and the score was now 72-70 for Charlotte. This is where I said Charlotte got a big lead. They were up by 14 points earlier in the third quarter. Then Philly went on a monster run, and they went up by like 2 or 3 points. Now Charlotte had gotten the lead back, but it was just 2-point lead for Charlotte at the time in which JLin came into the game. He was then fouled while Al Jefferson had stolen the ball. JLin grabbed the ball after Al poked it away from the Philadelphia player. He was immediately fouled by Robert Covington. Philadelphia was in the penalty at that moment in time, which means that Charlotte got free throws on the foul. Jeremy took and made both free throws. That put the score at 77-70 for the Hornets. And that helped spark a Charlotte run. They then went on a run of 14-1, which made the score 83-73 for Charlotte. And at the end of 3 quarters, the score was 83-74 for the Hornets. JLin, 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Moving into the fourth quarter, Jeremy picked up his second foul. He was reaching around to try to steal the ball away from T.J. McDaniels. He then drove hard to the basket on the left-hand side of the court. 2 free throws for him. He made both of those. That put the score at 87-74 for Charlotte, so now they were beginning to pull away. Then Jeremy had his third and final turnover of the game. It was on the right side of the court, and it was a curl play. I want to say it was Frank Kaminsky coming off of a curl, and Jeremy threw the ball to Frank while Frank was on the move. It was kind of a dangerous pass, and the defender had it read pretty well, and so it became Philadelphia was able to get the steal. Then Jeremy got his third foul after that turnover. He was kind of trying to stop Philadelphia from getting a fast break. And however, Philadelphia was still far behind here, 94-78. With 8 minutes and 1 second left, Philadelphia was forced to call a timeout. Moving on into the middle of the fourth quarter, a screen was set for Ish Smith, and now JLin was guarding Ish Smith. Ish Smith hit a jump shot after JLin went underneath the screen, meaning that room was given for Ish Smith to take a jump shot, and Ish Smith hit the jump shot. Then JLin had his fourth foul of the game and his final foul. Ish Smith drove by him on the left side of the basket. He scored a layup, and Jeremy fouled him on that. And then Ish Smith kind of got behind him on a backdoor cut, but Cody Zeller blocked the shot. And I then made a note that, it was a tough defense. And then I thought that JLin had his fourth turnover of the game, but I believe he was ahead in transition. Somebody threw the ball ahead to him, and he ended up losing the ball, but they must have given the turnover to whomever threw the pass to him. After that sequence of plays, and this is all in the middle of the fourth quarter, so between 8 minutes left and 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, then JLin was substituted for and Kemba Walker replaced him. And that would be the end of which JLin played in this game. Now, there's been 6 games that Courtney Lee's been on the team. JLin has been in the closing group 2 of those times. Courtney Lee has been in the closing group 2 of those times. And the other 2 games were blowouts, which means you can't really tell because it doesn't matter who's in the closing group. So we're still in this experimental phase. We don't know who's the closer for the team, and Clifford really hasn't signaled it. To be completely honest about it tonight, I'm not surprised that Jeremy got pulled out of the game. He played fantastic on offense in this game, and honestly, he played good on defense. However, that stretch of time, he was having a difficult moment guarding Ish Smith. Ish Smith was getting the better of Jeremy when Jeremy was on defense. And Jeremy had what looked like a turnover in that stretch. The two times in which Courtney Lee has been part of the finishing group, tonight and against Indiana, it was because either Coach Clifford was afraid of the person that Jeremy was going to be guarding, which was Monte Ellis in Indiana, or tonight somebody was getting the better of Jeremy on defense. That's in my opinion anyways, even though Charlotte was up a lot of points. Look, this is, as I've said many times this season, this is the way that Coach Clifford is. He's a defensive-minded coach. I think he knows Jeremy can play good defense. He likes Jeremy playing defense. I think that it looks like what it's going to be, at least so far, is if he's really scared about somebody quick on the perimeter, like Monte Ellis, or he sees Jeremy having a tough time with somebody, then that seems like is when Courtney Lee is going to come back into the game. Okay, even though Jeremy came out for Kemba Walker tonight, not Courtney Lee, but Jeremy never came back into the game. Okay, and I will say this too. Jeremy had 3 turnovers tonight, and I think Charlotte as a team had about 8. So he had a high percentage of the number of turnovers. Clifford doesn't like turnovers, and he does like defense. So I'm not blaming Jeremy. I'm not condemning Jeremy. Jeremy played well tonight, and that's reflected in his plus-minus and in his PER number for tonight, which would be very high. But that's the way that Clifford coaches. He's going to focus on your defense, and Charlotte under Clifford is almost always at the top of the league, one of the best in the league at not turning the ball over. So those are the two things that he heavily focuses on. So if you want to play for him and you want to stay in the game, you can't turn the ball over and you have to play good defense. The good thing is that I think that Clifford, as a default setting, I think that Clifford trusts Jeremy. The only time he may not have trusted him with Courtney Lee on the team was against Monte Ellis. But in listening to Clifford talk about that game after the game, he basically said, look, Monte Ellis, I've played against him, I've coached against him for years, and nobody can stop him. Nobody can keep him out of the basket area. And so that's just kind of long-term experience in Clifford's mind of having difficulty against Monte Ellis. And that might have been why Courtney Lee came into that game rather than giving Jeremy more of a chance later on in that game. Still, Jeremy's getting his opportunities here. We know he beat out Jeremy Lamb earlier in the season because, honestly, Jeremy Lin was playing better defense than Jeremy Lamb. That's certainly what it looked like. Now it may be more of a game-by-game proposition. However, I still think that Jeremy is going to get his opportunities. I think he will have chances to finish out the game, and hopefully that will be the case. I should also mention that of all the bench players, Jeremy Lin played more than anybody else did. Jeremy Lin, 20 minutes. Al Jefferson, 19 minutes. Frank Kaminsky, 18 minutes. Jeremy Lamb, 16 minutes. So Jeremy played the 6th most minutes on the team, and Courtney Lee played 29 minutes, okay? So as Jeremy Lin fans, we, of course, would like to see Jeremy in competitive games finish out the game. But he, in 4 real opportunities so far with Courtney Lee on the team, Jeremy's finished 2 of them. So he's getting a chance. He's not being dissed or put on the shelf here. And that's pretty much it. I'm thrilled that the team won this game. They were tested in this contest. Philly did make a good run at them. I love the way Jeremy played. I really liked how aggressive that he was in this game. I think he came out with a purpose. Again, I have nothing against Courtney Lee, and I respect Courtney Lee. Courtney helps the team. He's a good player. He's unselfish. He's kind of a guy that fits in. He's definitely a cog in the wheel type of a player, meaning he knows what his role is. His role is to play defense, move the ball, and hit three-pointers, particularly from the corner. Courtney Lee is a specialist at hitting three-point shots from the corners. He's really good at that. So he knows exactly what he is. And he's taller and longer armed than JLin is, and there's going to be nights like tonight where he finishes out the game. Still, Jeremy played great, and Jeremy knows what he has to work on. Keep showing Clifford you're playing good defense, keep your turnovers down, and keep moving. He shot the ball great tonight. His pace was excellent tonight, and the team won. So, like I said, I mean, optimally, Jeremy finishes the game, but I feel pretty good. He played well, and the team got the victory. So we move on to the next game, and that game is coming up 2 days from now, Friday, March 4th, here in the United States. And it is against the Indiana Pacers, who the team will now be playing for the third time in about 2 weeks. They're 2-0 against them in that period of time. And it will be at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday, March 4th here in the U.S. That means the game will take place on Saturday, March 5th at 8 a.m. in Taipei, Taiwan, and throughout China. So that's all I have to say for tonight. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Your comments below. I want to thank Gary Chen for the great artwork you're looking at right now. Gary is an artist and blogger in Taiwan, and he is part of the Jeremy Only Lin Garden fan group, which is headquartered in Taiwan. You can find out more about Gary and Jeremy Only Lin Garden by following the information in the video description below the video player. You will also find information for highlights of this game in the video description below the video player. And finally, there you will find information about how you can come and join the Conservative New Media Facebook group and how you can come and follow us on Twitter as well. Once again, I am PFV Paul F. Villarreal, the NBA expert. Thanks a lot for watching Conservative New Media. We strive to be the #1 Jeremy Lin YouTube fan channel. Great night, great win. Jeremy's stats go up. There's nothing to be upset about. I'm not concerned about the turnovers. They were aggressive turnovers. The main thing for Jeremy is protect the ball when you're going to the hoop, because guys do like to try to reach around him and steal the ball because he's so fast. The guys know they can't stop him from getting by them. So they try to steal the ball once he's by them. So he just has to just be conscious of that. He knows that. He's worked on it. He'll keep working on it. I don't think Ish Smith is the fastest guy in the world. I mean, maybe he's pretty small. So maybe he is quicker than I thought. I think he just, he had a couple good moments against Jeremy tonight. Okay. I mean, that happens. But like I said, Jeremy played a good game. I like the way he played. I like the way the team played. Again, I love the 9-man rotation. This team can compete with any team on a given night. Are they better with Courtney Lee than they were with Michael Kidd-Gilchrist? Probably no. Like, their top level, their ability at the top end is less, because Michael Kidd-Gilchrist is taller and bigger than Courtney Lee, and he's more aggressive and assertive, and he's a better defender. However, Courtney fits in better. He kind of just seamlessly fits in, whereas Michael can kind of dominate the action sometimes and kind of disrupt the flow a little bit. This team, and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist also, when he's on, this team can compete with almost anybody. And on a given night, they can compete with anybody. So, great. Well, there's only a few teams in the league that Charlotte would have trouble with when those teams are at their best and Charlotte's at their best. And they're not going to play those teams a whole bunch. So let's just go forward from here. Keep winning. Go home. 7-game homestand now. Let's rack up the wins so that once you go back out on the road, you have a cushion to make the playoffs. And that's it for Jeremy. Nice night. Get ready for the next one on Friday. That is all for right now. Talk to you again soon. Hope you're having a great night or great day wherever you are around the world when you watch this video. Take care, and we will see you in less than 48 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina, Hornets versus the Indiana Pacers.